Alright, so we're going to kick off with some replay matches. How did I end up in the Immortals Tour? I went 4-3 and finished like 18th. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Man, I need to... The replay feature, we're still getting a hang on that. Okay, so I don't want to hit play, I want to hit the next button. So this lets me control the timing here. I can pop this out so we can see it. Alright, so this is a green-white Elves deck, and as you can see here from the opening hand, Elves has been an archetype that's becoming a little bit more popular in Modern lately, but this variation that we are playing is a little bit different than the more popular variations. The more popular variations are leaning on cards like Collected Company and Court of Calling to enable not only a combo kills with Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies, but also generating a bunch of mana with Archdruids for Azuri. What our deck has going on here, which you could see from these two cards here at our opener, is that we're playing Eldritch Evolution alongside Allosaurus Riders to cheat cards like Iona and Elesh into play as early as the second turn of the game. So this opening hand here is a pretty easy mulligan here. We've got our two fatties that we want in our deck so we can cheat them out, and we've got a copy of Lead the Stampede of like no tiny elves to speak of. So we go to 6 here, and this 6 isn't particularly impressive, but decks like this don't mulligan particularly well. Magic decks don't mulligan. Decks in general don't mulligan particularly well. So like this hand's plenty keepable. It's a little bit resource heavy, but 2 of our 4 lands are Horizon Canopy, so if we do end up drawing more lands, we can just cycle through them, which is nice. That's another upside to playing this archetype that I like a lot. This deck plays 18 lands, and 4 of them are Horizon Canopy. So when you end up having too much mana, because we have a lot of mana creatures, you get to cycle through 4 over 18 lands. So go ahead and keep this. We see another land on top, and even though this is another Horizon Canopy, I think we want to just bottom that. We've already got 2 of those that we're going to have to cycle through. So they're on the play, they have Blood Crypt, they shock, I assume they're going to Thought Seize us, Inquisition, sure, same choice. So they get the tough decision between which Heritage Druid they want to take away from us. We draw. Eldritch Evolution is actually a pretty good draw. At some point that's going to turn into something useful. We also have a singleton copy of Sylvan Messenger in our main deck, so that means if we like find a 2-drop, we can use this Eldritch Evolution to kind of generate some card advantage to make back up for the mulligan that we took. Why are we watching a replay instead of just play some real Magic? Well, so one of the best things you can do to learn and grow as a player is to look back at your previous matches and kind of examine the plays you made and the mistakes you made and the good decisions you made, and kind of evaluate if your percentage plays were objectively correct at the time with the information that you have. These games that I'm going to go through, I thought I had some really interesting games, so I think they're worth looking at and covering. It also gives me a little bit more time to interact with people that are asking questions, such as the one that you just asked, because it's not burning a clock here, and I'm not kind of stressing out trying to multitask working the chat and the thing at the same time. We'll play some live Magic, we do that too on occasion, but like talking about like looking back at things that you've done in the past is worthless versus just playing more games is definitely not objectively correct from a turn of like from the standpoint of trying to become a better Magic player. So Serum Vision's here, opponent goes bottom, top, cycles the Street Race, so obviously Death Shadow at this point, Grixis Shadow, objectively the best deck in the format. Morn and Squishy. Opponent casts another Thought Seize, and, you know, this is one of the reasons why, even though our 6 isn't particularly impressive, you want to just, like, keep a hand that has lands and spells in the format. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I really don't enjoy a Thought Seize-based deck, a Thought Seize Inquisition deck being the best deck in Modern, because I really feel like playing against decks that are littered with discard spells, it removes a big part of Magic from the game that isn't that's particularly interesting. Like when you're playing against a deck that's got a bunch of Thought Seizes and Inquisitions, you're not encouraged to make smart mulliganing decisions. You're basically encouraged just to like keep hands that have lands in them, because if you mulligan a hand that has lands in it into a hand that doesn't have lands, you're gonna have to mulligan. Or if you mulligan a hand that has lands into a hand that has lands and like marginally better spells, you're going to get Thought Seized or Inquisitioned anyways, and then all of a sudden you don't have marginally better spells anymore. Morning, Lil. Alright, so tap, we draw another Eldritch Evolution, which is kind of annoying because their deck's full of discard, we much would have preferred to draw a spell we could actually cast here. I don't think we actually can't play it because it only makes mana when we have other elves with it, so just go ahead and attack with our Heritage Druid. More than mono red. Opponent cast Thought Scour, as soon as there's a big fish or a Tasigur coming. You can always tell on Magic Online while they're like paying costs here that means they're clicking on cards for Delve. Tasigur comes down. So now we're in a pretty bad spot, right? Like, our opponent's low on life, but like that's what their deck wants to do, and they've got a big threat, and we've just got a Heritage Druid. Windswept Heath, not another fantastic draw, so we have to go ahead and play this Horizon Canopy out. And let's just cycle this right away. It gives us a chance if we got a lot of 1-drops in our deck, so if we pick one of those up, which is exactly what we do. Yeah, and like people have made comments, in fact, that like they think Modern's in a great spot if like a generic mid-range deck is the best deck in the format. And I don't actually think the Shadow deck is a generic mid-range deck. It's definitely more of like it's an aggro control deck as the closest to control, and like at worst it's basically just an aggressive combo deck the way it aggressively uses its life total and hits you with a large creature. I much prefer, like, the gameplay, like, the best deck in Legacy is Grixis Delver, probably, objectively, and, like, there's a lot more counterplay to, like, trying to sequence your spells through counter spells than there is discard spells. Thankfully, and this is one of the things I like about the Elf deck a lot, is we don't take much damage from our mana base. We're still at a nice clean 20 here. So we have to go ahead and just take this hit for 4 and still have a lot of turns before this ends up killing us. Opponent has a Death Shadow as well here. And they don't shock themselves. That's pretty smart on my opponent's part. One of the things I really like about this Elf deck is the decks that kind of go wide tend to have good matchups against the Death Shadow deck, because a lot of them aren't playing any sweepers, or if they are, they almost certainly don't have them in their main deck, so going wide is a good plan game 1. We draw our Allosaurus Rider here, which is actually a pretty good pickup because it's part of our combo. So Allosaurus Riders we can cast by pitching 2 green spells from our hand in order to put it into play. And then we have Eldritch Evolution to cast it. And someone mentioned Stubborn Denial here. Yeah, if they have Denial, you're basically at a point where you don't play around things you actually can't afford to beat. And like our opponent's got like 8 power worth of crappers here in play, so like there's no point in playing around a Stubborn Denial or even thinking about it because we're not going to have that option. So cycle the Horizon Canopy here because we could have a 1 or a 2 drop. We had an Elvish Archdruid, which is not castable. It's a little annoying that it's not castable, but at the same time, if we draw another green card next turn, we just get to like ship this Allosaurus Rider into play and then Eldritch Evolution it. So opponent has Thought Scour here. They've only got 2 cards left. They attack us for 8. And at this point, I think we're supposed to just take... It's tough here. Like, we could take the 8 or we could chump the Death Shadow. The incentive to chumping the Death Shadow here is that they have this polluted delta, and they could make this a 7/7. And taking 11 down to 5 seems like taking a lot, so I think chumping the Death Shadow is correct. Okay, Past Jeff disagrees with my assessment. I guess having more blockers later is okay. One of the other reasons you can be a little bit more liberal with your life total is that a lot of these Death Shadow decks aren't playing copies of Lightning Bolt anymore, or if they are, they're certainly not playing 4 of them, which actually, these decks not playing Lightning Bolt actually makes decks like Elves much better. Opponent also didn't fetch Shock because putting themselves to 6 again is a little bit loose against the Go Wide deck. So they've got 2 cards in our hand. We drew another green creature here, so we're just going to go ahead and jam the Eldritch Evolution and the, what's it called? These Shadow decks basically can't take an Iona off the table if they don't have, Fatal Push by Heritage Druid in response, sure. They basically can't take Iona off the table if we name black, because their only way to do that is, like, terminate. And actually, I had a small missequence here. What I should have done was I gave my opponent an opportunity to kill this Allosaurus Rider, so I should have used my fetch land before playing the Allosaurus Rider, because if my opponent had a terminate here, we definitely would have gotten punished for the way I sequenced that. So we go ahead and cast Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing the Allosaurus Rider, and we just stick a big fat Iona into play here and name black. And now we are in kind of an awkward spot because this Death Shadow can turn into a 7/7 on the back of this fetch land, and we're at 7 life. So the Death Shadow is lethal, and we can't eat it with our Iona. Our 9-drop is smaller than their 1-drop, or comparable size to their 1-drop. That being said, the Tasigur can't attack in profitably here because unless they have a Bolt, and like I said, a lot of these decks aren't playing Bolt. And we can just chump block this Death Shadow with our Llanowar Elves here. So jump with Llanowar Elves, and then we just want to hope to draw basically any creature, which our deck is full of, that we can cast, so that way we can slide it out in front of this Death Shadow next turn while we hit them with this Iona. And that's exactly what we drew. We went ahead and drew an Elvish Mystic, so we get to crack them for 7 with this, putting them to 2. And then again, we're dead to exactly Lightning Bolt here, but we're not dead to Fatal Push, and we're not dead to Snapcaster Rage or Call against command, because Iona is locking them out of playing black spells. You have to go ahead and stick this Elvish Mystic into play. Opponent's activating Tasigur, I assume. Which is fine, we just get to like hand them a black spell back, give them this Thoughtseize while they're at 2 life. Couldn't the fact that Death Shadow is so big meant Elesh was the better line? So, the problem with Elesh Norn is that it loses to a Terminate off the top down the line, which I think makes it worse. The other thing is, the way Elesh Norn works, we're not going to actually be able to close the game out unless we kill them in one big swing, which means we're going to give our opponent a lot of chances to get draws and redraws. Yeah, they don't play that many cards that kill an Elesh Norn. Like, usually it's just like a couple of Terminate at most, but I think it's worth getting the Iona just because we can clock them in 2 hits in the air like this. Because, like, at a certain point, the Death Shadow is going to outgrow the Elesh Norn too while we're trying to attack them. So they thought Scour, presumably looking for a Bolt that they don't have, and then they die, because this is going to go ahead and untap and kill them. And this game was really sweet, right? Like, we mulliganed and got, they're exiled now, but we got Inquisitioned on 1 into Thoughtseize on 2, and, like, ended up just, like, oopsing into a combo kill here. So, even though the combo ended up being good in this game, you don't really want to be results-oriented with it. So, because our opponent's deck is full of things like Stubborn Denial and discard spells, we want to cut our synergy cards. So, when we go to post-board in this matchup, we actually cut all of the Allosaurus Riders and the Iona and the Elesh Norn, and we bring in some more resilient threats like Mystic Enforcer and Devout Lightcaster and things like that. So game 2, we're going to be looking to kind of play more fair and go wide against them. So we're going to be on the draw for this game. Yeah, this hand's fine. It only has 1 land in it, but again, these dorks make mana, and I really don't like mulliganing against a deck that's full of discard spells, so... Allosaurus Riders, you can pitch, we can view sideboard, right? Allosaurus Riders, you can pitch 2 green cards from your hand rather than pay its casting cost. So this is basically a 7-mana thing we can play for free to allow us to Eldritch Evolution into things like Iona and Elesh Norn. But again, I don't think those are particularly good in this matchup, not only because of their removal, but because of their disruption like Stubborn Denial. Like, if they Stubborn Denial and Allosaurus Rider, you're getting, what, 4 for 1? Which sounds real bad. Shock ourselves in, play Mana Dork. Don't bring in Siggy. Oh, Sigarda? No, I don't think this card's particularly good in this matchup. Like, it's an evasive threat, but, like, we're bringing in a bunch of other evasive threats, like Mystic Enforcer, or my latest build has Chameleon Colossus in it. And, like, this is This is a 5 mana card that's like smaller than most of their threats. It like trades with fish and is going to be smaller than Death Shadow, so I don't think it's really worth bringing in. So they push our dork off a cliff. And then here we have a decision. We can either play this Llanowar Elves out to try and get some more mana going, or cast Elvish Visionary to try and be mana efficient here. Go ahead and crack our fetch land, get a forest, and then cast our Elvish Visionary. They thought scour themselves. I'm not sure I understand the question. It was a little awkward that we drew a 4-drop. We're really hoping to draw a land or another 1-drop creature. We basically want to have a double spell turn next turn, so either Elite plus Elves or double 1-drop. Opponent's sitting here paying costs, so probably a Delve threat. This hand is bad to Thoughtseize. How is this hand? 1, how is this hand bad to Thoughtseize? We actually have like 2 of our payoff. We have like 4 cards that are payoff cards. 2, you don't fix hands that, and this is why playing against discard spells is uninteresting. You don't fix hands being bad to Thoughtseize by mulliganing to a hand with less cards in it. Your hand doesn't get better by mulliganing to a hand with against discard spells by mulliganing to a hand with less cards in it. And we didn't draw a 1-drop dork, but we actually drew a Path to Exile, which is arguably better than a 1-drop dork. Oh, you mean it's bad for my opponent to Thoughtseize? Sure. Yeah, because we had like a bunch of 2-ofs. Yeah, I agree with that. They're on to 11s, but they have a Death Shadow of some sort. Collective Brutality. So their modes are kill a thing and look at our hand, which kind of, we're going to get 2 for 2'd by this. We definitely want to 10 out of 10 Path to Exile the Gurmag Angler. In this spot, they're going to get to take the Eldritch Evolution out of our hand, but I think that's fine. We just basically want to take their threat off the table. One of the things you want to do against the Death Shadow deck is if you can keep their threats off the table, you just have infinite time to get redraws towards other things. And they didn't Stubborn Denial that, which almost certainly means one of these 2 cards isn't Stubborn Denial. So, Llanowar Elves dies here. We take our Eldritch Evolution away. They have a Tassiger to follow up. They have Death Shadow, but that's only a 2/2, so it's not too big of a deal. Hit the 3rd land like a professional. Go ahead and stick this Elvish Archdruid. Opponent's only got 1 card left in their hand, so if this lives, we're going to have a lot of mana next turn. Not attacking in here because I don't want to make their shadow bigger. They have Culligan's Command, kill my Archdruid, get their Snapcaster back. That's pretty good. Opponent went bottom top with the Visions. Nice hit for 2 here. Another Path. So we could play the Archdruid again, but that's a little bit weak to removal. I don't mind pathing plus Dwynen's Elite, but there's definitely an argument to playing the Archdruid down here too, just because like if they have a Fatal Push, they're going. Well, I guess we know they have Staffcaster Mage, right? So we know they could stat Brutality if we play the Archdruid. So it's probably better to just go ahead and take our double spell here and play the Dwynen's Elite plus Path to Exile. If we don't know the opponent has Snapcaster Mage, it might be worthwhile trying to get this going, but because we know they have it, I think we're supposed to just take care of these. Our opponent also top. No, they went bottom with the last. Either way, after your opponent casts the Serum Visions, it's generally worthwhile to shuffle their deck because you're either shuffling cards they didn't want back into their deck, or you are shuffling cards away that they wanted to keep on top of their deck. And now we can start attacking since their Shadow's not in play. I think it's worth pathing on our turn to play around a potential Stubborn Denial. It's a Delve threat. The Magic Online tells. So they've got another Delve threat, and they've got a Culligan's Command in their discard pile here. We hit a land, which is actually pretty good, because it means we get to go ahead and resolve this Sylvan Messenger. This is one of our, between these and, this is like our 5th Lead the Stampede. So when this enters player, looks at the top 4 cards of our deck, and we get all the elves in those cards. Grab our second forest and cast some card advantage here, hopefully. Get one. Alright. It's a 2-2 that replaced itself. Bottoming 2 Eldritch Evolutions is a little bit sad, but we'll probably survive. Not really worth trading Dwynen's Elite attack, or Dwynen's Elite for 2 points of damage while they're at 10, so just going to go ahead and have to pass here. They get to activate their Tasigur, which hopefully they hit something worse than Culligan's Command for us to give them back. Definitely don't want to give them a Collective Brutality, so giving them a Serum Vision is probably fine. At least they have to spend a little bit of mana to use their card that way, instead of directly impacting the board. Opponent finds their fetch, which, you know, that's good for us. If they're chipping away at themselves, that means that our go wide plan might be relevant here at some point. The old Fatal Push or 4-drop, yep. So we know their hand right now is Serum Visions plus Snapcaster Mage that they call against commanded back earlier. Why would I want to give them the Brutality? I really don't want to give them a removal spell. Like, removal spells is everything they're looking for right now, and honestly, like, Brutality would let them turn a land into 2 points of life if they wanted it, and I'm not interested in giving them points of life either. I know the discard mode is not relevant against our current hand, but I mean, like, what are they looking for? Serum Visions is a great way to find things, but, like, they're looking for removal spells, right? So I'd much rather they spend mana to find removal spells than they spend mana to do other things. Also, if they find cards they want to keep with Serum Visions, then they can't activate Tasigur and get this free card advantage. So I think there's actually a lot of reasons. I think this is definitely, objectively, the best play. So you have to play Dwynen's Elite. Now we just get to go, you know, super wide here. One thing we do have to keep in mind is, again, that they do have the Snapcaster call against command in their hands. So the turn we attack with this Archdruid is probably not going to be able to connect. So, do we think they have sweepers in their deck? A lot of these decks don't have sweepers. If they do, they don't have many of them. Lead the Stampede's a fantastic draw. Looks at the top 5 cards of our deck and then gives us all the creature cards out of them. Yeah, Canes. I've just been modding everyone that hits Sapphire Shard or 12 months subscribed, because y'all are great and you've been here a while. Figure people who have been here that long have a vested interest in the stream. Alright, so we have to go ahead and play Heritage Druid here. We get to go ahead and make 3 mana off of these elves. And I think we actually, so we know they have Culligan's Command in their hand. So I think we want to lead on the Elvish Archdruid, so that way our opponent can't, like, Culligan's Command, kill this, make us discard our last card in response. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Archdruid out here. And we can go ahead and play this Elvish Mystic out. And then at this point, I think we still don't want to... Yeah, they don't normally play Damnation. I agree. I still don't think it's worth trading. Like, they could stab Culligan's Command something, so if we attack in here, we're trading guys for not that much damage, so we're just going to go ahead and pass here. And I'm assuming they're going to go ahead and kill this at end of turn with the Snapcaster. Instead, they are activating Tasigur, which is great for us. Like, if they're tying up their mana with this, and again, I'm going to go ahead and give them the Serum Visions back, because basically at this point, our opponent is looking for removal spells, so I'm not just going to hand them a removal spell or a threat to block with when I could just hand them this thing that, like, uses up their mana. And my opponent spending their mana using Serum Visions, and they're not spending their mana killing my guys. And they cast their Serum Visions, and they're passing the turn back here. And they let me untap with this Archdruid, which I feel is wrong, because it gives me, like, this makes a mana for every elf we control, and we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This makes 9 mana currently. And we drew the card that, like, supremely punishes them for leaving us this Archdruid. So we get to tap. We get to go ahead and start by casting Lead the Stampede here. Look for some more elves. We hit 2 more. This card, we have about 30-ish creatures in our deck, so it's like 2.5 elves on average, so, like, this card's very reasonable. It's a little bit more consistent than Collected Company because in addition into the loads of hitting 1 or none, you also have the highs where you draw like 4 or 5 creatures with Lead the Stampede. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use this mana pre-combat because we've gotten to the point where our board's wide enough where we can afford to attack into the Snapcaster Culligan's Command, and they're almost certainly going to Culligan's Command this, so I want to make sure we use the mana for this pre-combat to cast both of these things. They know about them anyways. They got revealed from Lead the Stampede. No, we're not playing Collected Company. We're playing cards like Lead the Stampede and Eldritch Evolution instead. And I'm commenting that this is a little bit more consistent than Collected Company because in addition to having lower variance downswings, it also has higher variance upswings, so it balances out better. Whereas, like, Collected Company's only ever giving you 2 cards. No, the game itself that we're watching right now is a replay. I'm doing some re-commentary on a match that I'd already played. So, even if they snap Culligan's commands here, they snap K-command and kill this Archdruid, which then leaves them getting attacked by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things. And then, if Tasker and Snapcaster Mage both eat 2/2s here, they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which means our opponent's going to go down to... Okay, and they had Terminate here, which means they can snap Fatal Push something and then still block and take 5, which I think is fine. Opponent's at 9 and we're at 14, so like we're in no danger of dying on the backswing, and they're going to be dead on our following attack. I top 32 in open playing Collected Company once. I'm actually... There's not a ban... It's not that I'm not allowed to play Collected Company, it's that I really don't enjoy playing Collected Company because it's a higher variance card. Alright, so they have another Snapcaster here. And they're still dead on board even if this tags a removal spell, right? Like, they kill this, block 2, and then take exactly 4. Oh, they can Collective Brutality, bidding their last card to kill something and gain some life. Yep, that's exactly what they're doing here. So, now they are not dead on board. They're going to 6. But they're dead in 2 swings and they can't attack us. We got Heritage Druid. And again, I think we're just supposed to, like, force them to have something here. So we just go ahead and, like, ship our squad of little green idiots into here. Which is one of the reasons I really like this deck. Like, this deck has some really unfair combo kills, like, by locking people out with Elesh or Iona very early. But it also has, like, this very reasonable backup plan of just going super wide. So we go ahead and crunch in and hit our opponent down to 2. Cast this Heritage Druid, and again, they're on like the sweeper or die plan, and they've got 1 shot at it. They activate Tassiger, we give them a Tassiger back, and that should probably be the game. Yep. Hope everyone's having a good morning. We're kicking off the day. I had intended to stream last night, but my internet was not cooperative. No, we do not play that artifact. I think that card... we already have a lot of cards that are, like, individually weak, and adding another card that's individually weak to our deck and not synergistic is not fantastic. If you're interested in the deck list, there's links to the deck list below the stream. There's a big button that says MTG Decks. I know a lot of people don't do that, so people aren't used to it, but, you know, it's useful and helpful. Alright, so... as we kick off this game here, this hand's a little bit medium. We have our Allosaurus Rider here, so we only need Eldritch Evolution to get our second part of our combo going, but we have an Elesh Norn in our hand here, which is a little bit awkward. The flip side, though, is that we have this Heritage Druid, and we have 2 white sources, which is another reason I really like this deck, because we can actually just, like, cast our combo creatures by generating a lot of mana with our elves. Peace, Brock. So, opponent goes fetch bird here, which probably means some kind of Devoted Druid company deck. We draw another Allosaurus Rider, which drawing the second Allosaurus Rider really isn't that bad. You just, like, bin the second one to cast the first one. We have to go ahead and lead on Boreal Druid here. Man, my kingdom for a Finehorn Elves in Modern, let me tell you. Opponent fetching here. So, fingers crossed, no Devoted Druid. Once they figure out how to tap their lands, that's what they have. And now one of the things, they have an Arbor Elf in their deck too. It's weird. I mean, this might just be a budget Noble Hierarch too. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, the deck that we're playing isn't super interactive, so the faster combo decks just have it. They're going to have it. So we go ahead and we cast Lead the Stampede here. And the classic draw 4 off the Lead the Stampede. This is what I was talking about. You have the variance upswings along with the variance downswings, unlike Collected Company. Like, sometimes Collected Company doesn't do anything and Lead the Stampede is the same. But on the flip side of that, sometimes your Lead the Stampede draws 4 cards. So we get to go ahead and Allosaurus Rider, pitching a Rider, and one of our 2-drops. And now we just have to, like, hope our opponent doesn't have Vizier, which, if you've ever seen these stories before, you know your opponent always has Vizier. And now you want to make sure you make your opponent show you that they have the kill. So it looks like they have Court of Calling. And for those who are unfamiliar now, this is infinite mana along with this Vizier of the remedies. And then Duskwatch Recruiter lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and grab a creature card. So basically, our opponent can grab every creature out of their deck at this point, and one of those creatures is going to be a Walking Ballista or a Rowan-us, which ultimately kills us alongside their infinite mana. So we are just dead here. I haven't spent a ton of time playing Dredge, but I've spent time with Matt playing Dredge, and Matt actually got second at a 60-player 1K recently, and he was a fan of kind of a split. Like, playing 0 neonates means you slow down a whole lot, he said, which he wasn't a fan of. You want some amount of that type of effect. So this hand's a little bit slow. It has Eldritch Evolution, and it's funny, we look at this hand with the Llanowar Elves and we say that it's slow. We have Eldritch Evolution, so this hand's only an Allosaurus Rider away from putting a fast Elesh Norn in play, which is decent. So we get to go ahead and lead on Razorverge Thicket here into Llanowar Elves. Opponent has a Dork of their own again. Yep. So, worth discussing here, I think I actually made a mistake this turn. So, I think what I was supposed to do this turn, I cast this Dwynen's Elite here. Just at Matt Bamonte. Let me find him. So, I definitely made a mistake this turn, and this is one of the reasons why someone asked earlier why we were playing a replay instead of starting new matches. I think I 10 out of 10 made a mistake this turn. I should have played my land and cast this Lead the Stampede. Not only is it more resource efficient to have played this Lead the Stampede on 2, I would have used all 3 of my resources, but we're basically just racing to combo finishes in this matchup. So if I cast this Lead the Stampede on this turn too, I would have gotten to look at the top 5 cards of my deck, and if I would have found an Allosaurus Rider in those top 5 cards, I would have been able to put an Elesh Norn into play on my 3rd turn before my opponent ever has the option to combo us. An opponent has Devoted Druid here. So we get to go ahead and crack this fetch end of turn. We did not draw Allosaurus Rider. So at this point, I have a lot of different things we could do. I think we start by attacking, right? And again, basically at this point, because I didn't lead the Stampede last turn to look for Rider and we didn't draw it, we're basically just like fingers crossed hoping they don't combo us. What we can do here is, I suppose, is that, and I guess this was my line with the Eldritch Evolution last turn why I didn't lead the Stampede. We have a Gaddock Teeg in our deck post-board, as well as a Linvala Keeper of Silence. Alright, the Linvalas. I messed up sideboarding too, I didn't bring in the Linvala. Okay, so definitely misboarded this matchup. There's a Linvala here in the board. This shuts off creature abilities, which includes mana abilities, so that should 10 out of 10 be in our deck. We do have a Gaddock Teeg in our deck, though, so we get to go ahead and Eldritch Evolution this Elf token into a Gaddock Teeg. Maybe I should have skipped this match. We made a lot of mistakes at it. Alright, so go ahead and play Gaddock Teeg out here and then chip the turn back. And Gaddock Teeg says non-creature spells that cost 4 or greater and non-creature spells with X in their casting cost can't be played. So Collected Company and Court of Calling are both off for my opponent right now. And they play Vizier here. And they still have infinite mana, but they surely the match where you made the mistakes. Yeah, that's probably almost certainly true. And here, I remember this. I punted again, and I'm going to blame my wife on this one. My wife came into the room and was talking to me, and I tapped both my lands, and I cast a 2-drop instead of leaving a... And you see here, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so I was talking to my wife, and then... I ended up playing a 2-drop while not leaving white mana up, so I could have pathed to cut them off infinite mana, or I could have just played the Archdruid. I think either of those lines were better than what we did here, just like tapping these two and passing the turn. Yeah, you're gonna see Mystic Enforcer before this league is done. 10 out of 10, the Mystic Enforcers are gonna come up. So, again, opponent just has all of the green mana they could ever want. They have another Devout Druid. So the fact that we didn't leave up Path ends up not really mattering because our opponent has doubles of both their combo pieces here. But again, I think the best line there was actually playing out the Archdruid just so I had a bunch of mana the following turn. Because now we have, like, 2 Lead the Stampedes. Now we have 2 Lead the Stampedes, and we don't have mana from the Archdruid yet. So we just got to pass the turn back here. And then opponent bricks for another turn. But opponent's board's getting really big here, right? Who do you kill, the Druid or the Visor? I think you're always supposed to kill the Druid. The 2-1 really doesn't matter. And killing the Druid also gives you another turn cycle in case they find a Court of Calling or a Collected Company. Because the Druid has to not have Summoning Sickness in order to make mana. So you get an extra turn out of the cycle if you kill the Druid. Alright, so we hit Allosaurus Rider here, but we don't have an Eldritch Evolution at this point, so... Doesn't really matter. So, we have all the Lead the Stampedes in the world, so... assuming our opponent doesn't find a way to deal with this Gaddock Teeg or just, like, naturally draw their combo kill, we're gonna go pretty wide here. So, you draw 3 cards with this Lead the Stampede. You get to go ahead and cast another one and draw 3 more cards. And off this one, we hit Heritage Druid. So the Heritage Druid is really basically going to let us go off this turn, kind of. We get to go ahead and put the Heritage Druid into play, and... Wait, did I not cast the Heritage Druid? Man, I kicked the ball again? Man, this game was a hot mess. So if I would have put the Heritage... This game was just like... piles upon piles upon piles of mistakes. If I would have put the Heritage Druid into play here, I would have been able to cast this Archdruid this turn too. Did the replay break? Alright, well, in addition to making hot mistakes here, it looks like the replay broke here. What ends up happening is my opponent draws Abrupt Decay next turn and kills my Gaddock Teeg, and then they have a Court of Calling as one of their other cards in hand, and they end up combo killing us, so... We end up losing this game. This is definitely a game I did not deserve to win, right? And, in fact, if I would have sideboarded correctly, that turn 3 Eldritch Evolution, if I would have put this Linvala Keeper of Silence into play instead of the Gaddock Teeg, not only would Abrupt Decay not have killed the hate piece that I was putting into play, but it also would have prevented my opponent from making mana with these dorks, so they wouldn't have even been able to go this wide and make this large of a board. So, you make a bunch of mistakes, you lose the match of Magic. It's really weird. Really strange correlation. I mean, Magic is all variance, and we got very unlucky. Alright, so... Finally hit a 3-game set here for the third match. This opening hand's a little bit mediocre. I think this hand's worth keeping. We're on the draw, so like we've got a couple of shots at 1-drops, and like our deck has a bunch of 1-drops in it, right? So if we click back over here to the collections tab, our deck has just a buck ton of 1-drops. So we've got 15 1-drops, and you got to draw a step to find them. And also, if we draw Eldritch Evolution, this hand just has like a fast Elesh Norn. Excuse me, fast Elesh Norn or fast Iona. So I think this hand is worth keeping. Past Jeff agrees with me that this hand is worth keeping. Temple Garden into Noble Hierarchs are probably not Boggles. We draw another land, which is probably one of the worst draws in the deck. Opponent plays a bird and then misses a land drop, so that's good for us. So hopefully we draw Eldritch Evolution so we can have a fast Elesh Norn to make their board really sad. We drew our Elvish Mystic right on time here, so now we can play the Elvish Mystic out. We don't want to play the Dwynen's Elite even though it's mana efficient because this needs another elf in order to make a token. So if we play this and then put a Razorverge Thicket out here, we get to go ahead and pass back. Opponent plays another Dorko here. And then we draw Eldritch Evolution and we get to do what our deck does. We get to go ahead and Allosaurus Rider, pitching those other two. We'll leave the Sylvan Messenger here because just in case they have like main deck Path to Exile or something weird and recover from this Elesh Norn, we want the Sylvan Messenger to generate some card advantage to keep us in the game. We go ahead and cast Eldritch Evolution and put an Iona into play on turn 3, and oddly enough we win this game. Opponent decides they don't want to play Magic anymore. Yeah, modern Magic at its finest. Let's turn 3 Gitches. Alright, so the second game. Spoilers, there's a third game, so we lose this one. Yeah, this opener's pretty reasonable. It kind of sucks that Elesh is in our opening hand here, but, like, we have a Path to Exile as interaction, and we have Lead the Stampede and Elvish Mystic. And again, like... Huh. I mulliganed that. Past Jeff disagrees with me. I think I could have kept that hand. Maybe that's the reason we lost this game. I think that hand was keepable. Looking back at it. I'm gonna start the replay again and double check that hand. Why would we mulligan that? This, yeah, I think looking at this hand, I was wrong. I was wrong to have mulliganed this. Yeah, so it's really fucked up. So the Comcast, sorry, pardon my language, it's really messed up. The Comcast only cuts out like after 8 o'clock at night. I'm pretty sure they're just throttling my bandwidth because I use a lot of bandwidth when I'm streaming. And I'm pretty sure they're throttling my bandwidth in the evening during the peak hours for people using their internet. And it's annoying, and I hate them because I pay them way too much money. I actually pay them extra money so I can have unlimited bandwidth, so that they're throttling me. It's really obnoxious because I'm paying them extra for that. But anyways, yeah, I think this hand was a keep. I think the merit to mulliganing it is if Elesh Norn's in my hand, I can't Eldritch Evolution into it quickly. But I think with a Path to Exile, I can probably afford to not have the fastest Elesh Norn. The upload speed I pay for is 10 megabits, I believe, which is fine. You only need like 3 or 4 to stream efficiently. Once we go ahead and mulligan here, we just go ahead and bottom this. And this hand has an Accelerant on one at least. We draw another Allosaurus Rider, which, you know, this hand is getting up to be good. If we hit Eldritch Evolution, we do get a fast Elesh Norn. My buddy who lives across town already has fiber internet, and the fiber is supposed to be available where I live come the end of summer at the latest, so... Opponent has Devout Druid on 2 here. We draw another land. So, I actually don't want to play anything out here, and the reason for that is Allosaurus Rider takes 2 other green cards to pitch in order to cast it, which means that if I draw Eldritch Evolution, I want to be able to put this Allosaurus Rider into play, so, and Eldritch Evolution it. So I don't do anything because I want to... They play Knight of the Reliquary here. I want to be able to do Eldritch Evolution if we draw it. And then we feel really smart and thin because we drew the Eldritch Evolution that we were talking about drawing, and we didn't play out this Heritage Druid that we could have played. So we get to go ahead and stick this Allosaurus Rider into play. And then we get to go ahead and cast this Eldritch Evolution and get an Elesh Norn. But our opponent is able to untap their Devoted Druid and then cast some kind of counterspell, Unified Will. And believe it or not, at this point, I just go ahead and concede. And again, like, the game plan that we had here, like, just having a Path to Exile would have been much better against their Knight of the Reliquary. And, like, eventually casting the Elesh Norn. It's actually kind of interesting that our opponent brought in Unified Will in, like, a creature deck mirror. But it's probably, like, their only interaction for combo cards. Like, they're just hoping to have more creatures than us, so. Our hand actually ended up working out okay, but they had the counterspell for our combo. Thankfully, we get a game 3 on the plate. To look at the old no land 7. What a fantastic Hearthstone hand here. The old no land 6, making our mulligan decisions easy. Man, if there's one thing Hex spoils you on, it's not having to look at all these no landers is such a good treat. Our 5's, like, not exciting, but I mean, it's a keep at 5 cards. You don't go to 4. We've got Land Accelerant, and we've got an Elesh Norn that we can reasonably cast at some point. We get to go ahead and scry here. We see Elvish Champion on top of our deck, and I actually think we're supposed to keep this. This gives all of our other elves 1/1 and Forest Walk, so we could just, like, beat our opponent down with, like, an unblockable elf army here at some point. So I think that's worth keeping. We do need to draw a white source for this Elesh Norn at some point, but I think it's worth keeping the Unified Will is better than Surgical. You're not wrong. So we get to go Elf Dork here. Get on the board real fast. Opponent has Devoted Druid, I assume. Oh, they're so unlucky. They didn't have Devoted Druid for the first time in their lives. So this turn, we actually get to go really wide. So we get to cast this Heritage Druid, and then we use these 3 to cast this Elvish Champion. And then, or whatever, those 3. And then we get to attack for 2 with Forest Walk, put them down to 16. And then actually, if you look here, this was our turn 3, right? We're just going to be able to turn 4 hard cast to this Elesh Norn if we draw a white source. Because these 3 make 3 mana with the Heritage Druid. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we draw a white source, we just get to, like, cast Elesh Norn. Which we have a lot of white sources, and that's exactly what we drew. So we get to go ahead and do this, and we have to tap all of our creatures to do so, but seems worth it. And opponent doesn't have an answer to the Elesh Norn, and they don't have blue source retreat to Coral Helm, so hard casting the turn 4 Elesh Norn onto a board with a bunch of idiots on it was more than enough to win the game. Is Elvish Champion good? Aren't there better lords? So I play a split of 1 Elvish Champion alongside three copies of Archdruid. Archdruid makes mana, which is nice, but the Forest Walk is not completely irrelevant. There's plenty of games where, like, the board locks up because neither player is combo killing, and being able to have 1 Elvish Champion to go fetch with the Eldritch Evolution is very reasonable. Also, because this version of the deck isn't playing Azuri for the overrun effect, we don't leverage all of the mana from the Elvish Archdruid nearly as well as the Azuri builds of elves. So not having a bunch of mana from our 4th board really isn't a big deal, and having the flexibility to make our guys unblockable in a variety of matchups is very good. I'll be right back. Sounds like Jake needs a hand with something, and I probably need to change a diaper. So we're going to keep playing. We're going to go over, there's 2 more matches in this league that I played earlier with elves, and then we're going to play some new matches live here with a couple of changes. We got a couple of Chameleon Colossuses I want to try out. I'll be right back. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Wall of Roots has been broken since the end of January 2016. Rest in pepperonis, Wall of Roots. Rest in pepperonis. I've been playing Magic Online again since the beginning of May, so about a month and a half. Alright, so let's finish out this league we played last night. Thanks, most everyone stuck around, still 156 people hanging out. Alright, so match the 4th. Won the die roll, that's a good start. This hand is fantastic, right? We get to go ahead and play. You have turn 1 Mana Dork into powerful 3-drop, dealer's choice of Archdruid or Lead the Stampede here. So, Forest, Elf, pass the turn. Opponent cycles a Street Wraith, so either Living End or Grixis Shadow. Also, a common question people like to ask me is, do I think something from Grixis Shadow should be banned? And I think Grixis Shadow is like a fine deck to have in the format, but I would love it if they got rid of this card out of Modern. I think all of these obnoxious cards that are just like, pay some life or some like meaningless resource to make your deck smaller, I think are obnoxious, and like, making Living End and Grixis Death Shadow just like subtly worse and subtly less consistent while still allowing them to exist, I think would be a very good thing for the format. And here, my opponent Thought Seizes me, and there's two different lines they could take here with the Thought Seasons, contextual based on the other cards they have remaining in their hand. I think they're supposed to take the Elvish Archdruid or the Lead the Stampede here. And which they take is going to depend on what their follow-up is. I think if they don't have a way to kill the Elvish Archdruid, they need to take that off the table. Or they need to take this out of my hand. If they do have a way to kill this, then leaving this is fine and taking the Lead the Stampede is good because this is my major source of card advantage. My opponent disagrees with my assessment of the hand, and they took Sylvan Messenger for some reason. And I don't understand why you would take Sylvan Messenger when you could take Lead the Stampede, because Lead the Stampede is castable next turn. I guess my opponent's line here is that they're assuming I'm going to play the Elvish Archdruid next turn. And if they assume I'm going to play the Elvish Archdruid and they're going to kill this, then they're going to have a chance to discard or Stubborn Denial this. But I'm smarter than that. And I think because my opponent took this card, I definitely want to, like, this matchup's definitely more... It's really tough being 3. You gotta share your trains. So, so here we have a lot of different choices we can make, but I think objectively the correct play here is to shock myself and cast the Lead the Stampede. Someone asked, why are we watching replays? Because watching replay, your own replay specifically, or other replays and reviewing them, is one of the best ways you can learn and grow as a Magic player. No, Burn, the Death Shadow deck slaughters Burn. A good Death Shadow deck, a good Death Shadow player slaughters a good Burn player almost every time. There's some variance in Magic. And look at here. Being the professional that we are, there's 2 Allosaurus Riders, a Boreal Druid, and a Heritage Druid here. So, just go ahead and just cast my 3 mana, draw 4. Which again, you know, variance swings and downswings. Let's go ahead and pass the turn here. We're not playing the Allosaurus Rider out just yet, because our opponent could have a removal spell for it. So, I have a couple different things I could do here, and, again, this is a good example of, like, why going back and double-checking your plays is reasonable. I'm pretty sure I made the worst of the possible plays here. So, we don't want to just Allosaurus Rider and run out Eldritch Evolution, because that means they have a chance to Stubborn Denial us for 1. I think the optimal sequence here, and I arrived at this after I took the sequence, I think what we're supposed to do this turn is we're supposed to play the Boreal Druid, play the Heritage Druid, and then play the Allosaurus Rider, and then tap Heritage Druid, Boreal Druid, Allosaurus Rider, and then cast Eldritch Evolution on the Allosaurus Rider for Iona on black, basically locking them out of the game. So, what I ended up doing was, I missequenced my 1-drops here, and I cast the Heritage Druid first. Which, casting the Heritage Druid first is exceptionally wrong, because it means that my opponent is able to kill this Heritage Druid in response to me casting my next elf here. Oh, don't tell me the replay's broken. That would be sad. Oh, Magic Online doing Magic. I have no idea what causes the replay to break, but it appears the replay is broken. Let's play this through and see if it... Try it again and see if it breaks at the same point. You can see the chat here says question mark, bug, question mark. Look, as someone who writes like mostly hobbyist level software at this point in my life, like this is so, like I would be annoyed seeing question mark bug in the user facing interface of a hobbyist project, much less a multi-million-dollar piece of software. Like this should never appear in the user-facing log here. Like, come on. I understand software has bugs that's not going to be perfect, but it's the little shit like this that's like, come on, Magic Online. So, what ends up happening here is I cast the Heritage Druid, I cast the Boreal Druid, my opponent kills the Heritage Druid in response, and then I was a big dumb stupid, and I played the Allosaurus Rider, pitching these other riders, and then my opponent had to terminate for the rider when they untapped. So, we didn't actually end up getting the combo, but I actually ground them out this game, which is kind of why I wanted to show it. I wonder if the rest of the match is going to work. These last two matches are really good. I was hoping to go through them. David, my internet's been really good in the morning and early afternoon, so I'm hoping it's going to work for this morning stream. Using a well-documented logger is really hard. So this hand has a lot of good stuff in it. And again, I don't love mulliganing against a discard deck, but we only have one land and we don't have any mana creatures, so we have to throw the 7 back. This 6 is not fantastic. Dwynen's Elite we really don't want to play on 2 if we don't have an elf on 1. But it's got Mystic Enforcer in it. So this is like one of our Death Shadow trump cards. It's a 3-cost 3/3 that's protection from black. And on Magic Online it's protection from black twice. And if you have Threshold, it gets +3/+3 and has flying. And we have a 1-drop on top of it, so that's perfect. We're on the draw this game, I believe. Yep, we're on the draw. We're on the draw this game. Do you want to come in here and sit by me? You want to come sit by me? It's fine. Your brother's leaving your trains alone. Double protection black is better. Yeah. So they thought Seize Us, and I assume we're losing the Mystic Enforcer here. The card they can't kill is probably the one they want to get rid of. So I actually think Mystic Enforcer is probably worse than... I have a couple copies of Chameleon Colossus in the deck from when we play more games today. I forgot Chameleon Colossus was a card when I built this. So, drawing another 1-drop elf here is actually pretty good, because it means my opponent can't just push my first one in response to the Dwynen's Elite to deny us a 1/1. Right, so we get... Chameleon Colossus would be for the same type of matchup or Mystic Enforcer's for. It's for the black-based removal decks. And now they cast a card that basically only Mystic Enforcer can beat. It's just gonna, like, pick off our elves every single turn. And I need to go help Jake with a train really quick. Also upside to replays, don't burn clock running to help the children with trains. So they pick off our elves. At this point, we're basically, like, drawing to, we've got one copy of, I always forget this card's name. Is it Devout Lightcaster? Yeah, Devout Lightcaster, which voids a black permanent, or a second copy of Mystic Enforcer. That could be good at this point. We get to go ahead and we get to, like, poke the Liliana for 2 here, but, like, it's a really pretty uphill battle, and we've drawn a lot of our non-Horizon Canopy lands, so at this point, we're just, like, hoping to draw one of our payoff cards for beating this. I don't think it's worth playing the Heritage Druid out here, and one of the reasons why I want to hold the Heritage Druid in my hand is because we have 4 copies of Eldritch Evolution in our deck. If we draw a copy of Eldritch Evolution, we can go Heritage Druid, Eldritch Evolution into Devout Lightcaster and kill the Liliana the Void, Liliana the Veil, Last Hope, whatever this card is. Veil, Void, Last Hope. This is probably a Death Shadow. I assume that's where they're damaging themselves. So yeah, so our number of turns to draw out of this become much smaller now. Another 1-drop that we're not really interested in playing. And again, like, our number of draws that are live here are very small, right? Like, a lot of our things just, like, die to Lily's +1, which is why it's a fantastic card against us. We have a Devil Threat here. Yep. And at this point, like, even if we hit the Devout Lightcaster or the Mystic Enforcer, we're basically still dead because they've got 2 threats on the table on top of this Liliana, so we'll just go ahead and pack it in. Geez, Magic Online, the replay works for the game I lost. Alright, we get a 3rd game here. Get to be on the play for this one. This hand is super reasonable. Again, it's a little awkward. These win in elite hands without a 1-drop to precede them are awkward, but the rest of this hand has very good cards in it. We have a removal spell and a Mystic Enforcer, which are both fantastic. Burn's actually not good against the Death Shadow decks. And again, this Thoughtseize, I assume it's just going to take the Mystic Enforcer, but it's going to be contextual based on what's in my opponent's hand for sure. Best possible draw there, an elf that we can cast before the Dwynen's Elite, so we go ahead and do that and play our land and pass the turn. They just pass back. And here, we have kind of an interesting decision to make. We could stick the Archdruid, or we could just play the Dwynen's Elite. The downside to playing the Dwynen's Elite is that if they have a push, they can push this Elvish Mystic and deny us the 1/1, but I think I'd rather have them push the Mystic than push my Archdruid off a cliff later, so I think we play the Dwynen's Elite here. Yep. And they did not have a push, so to play a land. I put that into play tap to preserve my life total a little bit. We don't get to path this turn, but I think that's fine. Let's crack in here. Toddlers are great. Whatever toy one of them has, they both have. Entire basement full of toys, and they always both want the same thing. So they get to go ahead and Thoughtseize me here. They have a lot of pretty good choices depending on, again, like what they take here, we can't know for sure if they're making the right decision because it's contextual based on the card in their hand. They leave us with the Eldritch Evolution, though, which means that this Dwynen's Elite's going to get to turn into a Mystic Enforcer, which is fantastic for us. So I go back and forth here, And what I ultimately decided is Mystic Enforcer is better if we get Threshold going. So before we do anything, I go ahead and I offer... Not quite sure. Yeah, okay. So before I do anything, I go ahead and I offer the trade of this Elvish Mystic for the Snapcaster Mage. And I'm okay with this because if the Elvish Mystic ends up in our bin, that's good because then it's contributing to Threshold for the Mystic Enforcer we're going to Eldritch Evolution into. So that's 4 cards in our discard pile. So we get to go ahead and Evolution. We don't have to worry about Stubborn Dow because they're tapped out. Sack the Dwynen's Elite and go ahead and get this Mystic Enforcer out of our deck. And even if they do have Liliana the Veil, which a lot of them don't have any copies of, Mystic Enforcer is protected from that by this Elvish Warrior token. Opponent casts Liliana the Last Hope, which again is normally a, lights out against us, but thankfully we have our copy of Mystic Enforcer here. So start by casting this Elvish Visionary, and then I want to actually hold the land here on the off chance that my opponent has a Culligan's Command. I don't want them to make us discard the Path or the Archdruid, so I'm going to go ahead and hold this land. So I ship into the Liliana of the Last Hope here, but it could be right to just go after their life total, honestly. I'm going to have to attack the Liliana twice to kill it, whereas I can just attack them 3 times to kill them, so I could see it being correct to have just shipped this into them this turn as opposed to attacking their Liliana. Once we've attacked the Liliana once, I feel kind of pot committed. So even though I could sack this to give myself Threshold and put my opponent on a 2-turn clock here, but I think it's worth it to kill the Liliana here. I don't know, that could be wrong. I feel like with the Path to Exile, I could afford to be a little bit conservative. So they're able to push our Archdruid there because of Liliana the Last Hope left play. Declan, you want to come sit on Dad's lap? No. Can you come sit by Dad? No. No, you can't sit by Dad? So they flash at a Snapcaster Mage as a chump blocker, but this dork gains flying when he gains Threshold 2, so opponent goes ahead and concedes and packs it in because the Mystic Enforcer is too much. And the last game on the replay train. The set here against Eldrazi Tron. So we really hit the Goulet. Sometimes these competitive leagues are not terribly competitive. You play against a bunch of random chaff. But this league, we played 2 Grixis Shadow, 2 Devoted Druid combo decks, and then Eldrazi Tron here for the last. So we hit tiered decks for 5 out of 5. This hand's this hand's fine. It's hard to pass up turn 1 Elf into turn 2 Elvish Archdruid, but having Iona in the opener is definitely a little bit smelly. So, Forest, Llanowar Elves. But again, this has triple white in its cost, but casting this isn't unreasonable, especially with a Vast Archdruid. Hit Eldritch Evolution, so we get to go ahead and play... Why did I play Heritage Druid? Oh, okay, so this is actually a really interesting point here. It seems optimal to play Elvish Archdruid here because it's mana efficient, but the reason I played the Heritage Druid is because the most common Tron deck in the format, and we're 3-1, so we're a little bit more likely to play against the better decks. The most common Tron deck in the format is Eldrazi Tron, and Eldrazi Tron plays 4 Chalice of the Void in the main deck, so there's a very, very real chance that my opponent plays Chalice of the Void for 1 next turn. So instead of being resource efficient, I'd like to get my 1-drop into play preemptively before we can get Chalice out of them. I don't know when we're going to see the next paper stream. There isn't a lot of interest in the paper streams overall. Nick Major 79 with the $10 donation. Thank you very much for contributing to my invitational fund. I do appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by the stream as well. For those who are unaware, the SCG Invitational is coming up at the end of the month, and normally I don't mind spending my own money to gamble on a Magic event, but, Magic is gambling, essentially. But not only is this event particularly expensive to get to because it's in Roanoke, Virginia, but my central air conditioning unit went out earlier this month, so most of my money that would be allotted for fun things like gambling on Magic trips would be went to replacing my central AC unit. So if you enjoy my content, please consider using that donation button down below like Nick did to contribute to that. I do appreciate it. So opponent plays Eldrazi Temple here, and then they have, I believe they played the Chalice of the Void, right? So yeah, so just like feeling super smart and thin right now. We played this Heritage Druid. You got some pretzels? Where's your bowl? We played this Heritage Druid being mana resource inefficient, and then got rewarded because they had the Chalice of the Void here. Matt Zeki won with the 2-month resubscription. Thank you for the continued support. I do appreciate it. Draw for the turn. We hit Allosaurus Rider. So Allosaurus Rider's kind of interesting because it means that we can Eldritch Evolution into Elesh Norn. Elesh Norn is kind of okay in this matchup. It's good at making their Squidbillies smaller, but it's not the best at, what's it called? It's not the best because it can get, like, Karned and all this dust and all this other jazz. Where do you live that you don't have air conditioning? Do you break 100 degrees where you live on the regular? So we get to go ahead and play Archdruid here, and then we're actually pretty close to just, like, paying 7 mana for this card, right? So, on average, you need to see 2 pieces of Graveyard Hate to beat Dredge, which means if your deck doesn't have a good Dredge matchup game 1, which a lot of decks don't have a good Dredge matchup game 1, and you need to draw 2 pieces of hate to beat Dredge in the post-board games, you realistically need 6 to 7 pieces of Graveyard Hate that hose Dredge. So most decks do not have good Dredge matchups, and I think Dredge is very reasonably positioned. So we're very lucky here. An opponent does not have the humidity is true. That's true. Yeah, Eldrazi is playing like 7 pieces of hate. That's exactly correct. In order to have a reasonable Dredge matchup post-board, Eldrazi on like 3 to 4, or like 3 relics, 2 cages, and like some surgicals. So, and this is just quality deck building here. Opponent plays their Expedition map into their Chalice of the Void for 1. Just like, sure. So we draw Elvish Champion here, and drawing this Elvish Champion actually means we can cast the Allosaurus Rider this turn. So we play Elvish Champion, which makes this Archdruid make 4 mana, and then we can tap 1, 2, 3 to make 3 more mana after that. So we get to go ahead and just the fairest of Allosaurus Riders, hard cast for 7 mana. It's not unreasonable to think Mono might not remember the trigger, that's fair. And now, we get to just go ahead and Eldritch Evolution this Allosaurus Rider into an Elesh Norn. Sure, but that, like, a card like Anger of the Gods counts as Dredge Hate. So, like, again, on average, you need to see 2 pieces of hate to beat Dredge in a post-board game, especially if your deck doesn't have a good matchup against it game 1, and Anger of the God counts as 1 piece of that hate. A good Dredge player is going to be able to beat 1 piece of hate, even if it's Anger of the Gods they're playing well most games. And look at that, that's weird. Look at all that. So opponent revealed a Dismember here, which, you know, we really don't care about that, right? You get to go ahead and just attack for 20. The largest of all the Elf Lords, the Elesh Norn. The Elves have been brought into the Circle of Perfection. That is Phyrexia. And they have Dismember, but they're still just dead, so. Alright. Elvis Norm, right? Elvish Norn. This seems very reasonable. It doesn't have a 1-drop in it, but it's got Path to Exile for interaction, and it's got just Visionary into Archdruid, so. It's also reasonable if my opponent has Chalice of the Void for 1 on turn 2. They mulligan to 6, so hopefully we don't get run out of the game. The old buried rune on 1 brings an artifact. It's neat technology. They have expedition maps, so they can search that up. Drew another evolution. Turn 2 Matter Shaper, such powerful things. Go ahead and stick our Visionary here. Visionary, Vision is scary. Start a revolution, polluting the airwaves. No blocks. Do they have a Thought-Knot Seer? Okay, they miss on Thought-Knot Seer, but they have Walking Ballista, which is kind of annoying. But, let's check the sideboard here, I think. Yeah, so I boarded in our copy of Linvala, which is actually pretty good in this matchup. So we actually get to go ahead and play this Horizon Canopy and then Eldritch Evolution, this Elvish Visionary, and dual Linvala. Which feels good. Turns off their Walking Ballistas. Which, that member right there, a little unfortunate that died. It's possible I'm supposed to lead on the Archdruid to bait that, but the problem with that is if my opponent just went 4th land, they could put a counter on this and then trade this for the Archdruid, so I think I'd rather get the Linvala there and risk the Dismember. Opponent has another Walking Ballista. And then we oopsed into an Allosaurus Rider here, so we get to go ahead and put this dork into play, and then, you know, Elesh Norn them. Who doesn't love a good clean Elesh Norn in the morning? Is this good? If so, why? Please explain. They revealed a Wormcoil Engine. Sigarda's not only for living in, but Sigarda's actually very good in this matchup too, because Sigarda makes it so all his dust doesn't kill our board. We still lose to Ugin, but a lot of these decks only have like 1 Ugin at most. All his dust is the more common sweeper that they play. Because all his dust is players sacrifice their colored permanents. They're still pretty far off Karn, right? Like, they only have 4 lands here. And they only have 1 drawn piece. So they have a reality, just a little bitty baby 3/3 reality smusher here. Don't even need to think about pathing it. Because I forgot Chameleon Colossus existed, Surfcat. I'm actually, we're going to play some more games here in a second after this replay, and I've got 2 copies of Chameleon Colossus now. We have Gaddock Teeg in our deck as well, but having multiple things that are good against that are fine. Sigarda also just kills our opponent, like it's a 5/5 flyer. It's basically just like diversifying hate cards. Sigarda doesn't die to Dismember, which is their primary way of killing things like that. So, the Endbringer is going to bring about somebody's end. Also another little tiny Squidbilly here. My Praetor are greater than your Eldrazi. Draw an Elvish Mystic. Draw another card with our Horizon Canopy here. See what we find. Found an Eldritch Evolution. So, we have a couple different ways this can go. I think ultimately we want to turn this Archdruid into a... We know their last card's Wormcoil Engine. I think we want to turn this Archdruid into a Sigarda so they can't draw a All Is Dust and punish us off the top. So we go ahead and we start by attacking with this Elesh Norn, because if they double block for some reason, we could path one of them. There's no reason to double block though, because they don't trade with this. And then we get to go ahead and cast Llanowar Elves, and then use Archdruid to make 2 mana. This is a 3rd mana. And then we Eldritch Evolution this into Sigarda, which is a 7/7 flyer. Not the worst. And then I go ahead and I path the Endbringer here aggressively, because I don't want them to draw cards with it. We know they have the Wormcoil in their hand, but like the Sigarda flying over the top means that we're going to race the Wormcoil just fine. The Wormcoil is also only a 4/4. Little baby Wormcoil engine. Meh. This is modern. That's like fair and balanced. Oh, my toddler figured out how the door worked. I'll be right back. Jury's out. Is this card good enough for standard? So we hit them down to 1 with the Sigarda, and then they basically, I'm like, Ugin or bust at this point, right? They drew a Matter Reshaper. They basically just cantrip this Matter Reshaper because it dies to the Elesh Druid right away. They hit a Grafdigger's Cage right on time. They can draw a card with the Seagate Wreckage, but like one card's not going to save them. So yeah. So I did a lot of losing trying to play Death Shadow decks yesterday, and then I 4-1 to League with this. So let's play another League with this because it's sweet. And I like it. Alright, let's play some live matches here. Also, the replaying coverage of matches I've played before, not only do I think it's a good learning tool for myself, but I'm interested in how people feel about it in terms of the type of content that it makes. So definitely, if you didn't catch the whole thing, watch it on my YouTube playback later and let me know how you feel about it. Good, bad, otherwise. And the only real change I have from my deck list earlier is I've got these Chameleon Colossuses where I had Mystic Enforcers previously. This is an Elf, so it gets powered up by Archdruid and Elvish Champion, but it's still just like this 4-cost protection from black thing that Death Shadow has a giant headache dealing with. While we wait for a match to pop, I would just like to plug my sponsors a little bit. I would just like to say good morning, afternoon, and good night to everyone, wherever you're at in the world. Thanks for choosing to spend part of your day here with us. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a TCG player and content producer. And if you're enjoying my content and encourage you to show the support, use that follow button there on your screen. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps other people find my stuff. If you're really enjoying what you see or know support me past, that's a couple different ways to do that. The first is by subscribing on Twitch or becoming a patron on Patreon. You can also support my content by using that donation button down below. I'm trying to get to the SCG Invitational, so if you're enjoying what you see, consider sending $1 or $2 my way. You can also support my content by supporting my sponsors. MTGOtraders.com will love to buy and sell Magic Online cards with you. You can use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout there. You'll save 8% on your orders. InkedGaming.com does custom gaming stuff like playmats and mouse pads and all that jazz, so you can check them out as well with that discount code. MTGCardMarket.com buys and sells physical Magic cards, and they also have a great selection of written content. You can find stuff written by myself, as well as Dylan Donegan and Kevin Jones and a lot of other good people there weekly. And finally, SpareDeck.com rents physical, standard, and modern decks. You can rent a deck for a weekend or up to an entire month. Anywho, we're on the play here. This hand doesn't have an accelerant in it, but it's got Elvish Visionary into Eldritch Evolution and Lead the Stampede, so I think it's plenty fine to keep. I'm going to play this and pass back. Vision, sure. I enjoy them because the interaction of past Jeff Plague for the moment while present Jeff talks about how that might not have been the optimal line, helps learn play patterns I may not have seen. Good. Yeah, I think it's definitely good for me as a player. I wasn't quite sure how people feel watching it. So well, now that they know how to work the door, one child is holding the other child outside of the door. Declan Scott. So we definitely want to lead on the Elvish Visionary here because the Dwynen's Elite doesn't make a token if we don't already have an Elf. Alright, how about Dad's Town? Heritage Druid's actually a pretty good draw here, because it means if our opponent doesn't kill any of our stuff next turn, we can go, Thanks for hitting me in the face, child. We could go, Heritage Druid into Dwynen's Elite into Eldritch Evolution or Lead the Stampede. Looks like Grixis Shadow. Hopefully they play a Delve Threat here. If they play a Delve Threat here, we're actually going to be in a really good spot. Is this a Delve Threat? Please be a Delve Threat. Yeah, Delve Threat. They're paying for cost. Sweet. So, yeah. I think we're going to be able to... So what we get to do here is we get to go this into this. Yeah, we should do the Elite first if they're not tapped out. You're right. Into tap these into... I've got a Chameleon Colossus in my main deck, which they probably just can't beat. So we're going to Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing this and go get Chameleon Colossus here. Go. The old protection from black 4/4. Good luck, Godspeed, as you will. This is my elf. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Let's tip this back up since Declan's away. Oh, Fatal pushed my Heritage Druid. Oh no. Oh no. Your move. Oh, weird. You don't have an answer to this. Strange. Cast this Archdruid, which makes this bigger. Hit them to 8. And then they're actually just dead to this next turn, even if they kill this, because we can pay 4 to turn this from a 4/4 into an 8/8. .c, sure. They could Snapcaster and block this, I suppose. SJBE Langer with the brand new Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Subscriptions are one of the best ways you can support my content, so thank you very much. Alright, you're at 6. Do you have a blue creature that costs 1? That match is more just a race to Norn. Activate my Chameleon Colossus. Attack you with my unblockable 8/8. Nice. Nice! Alright, so again, I actually like cutting the combo in this matchup. While Eldritch Evolution into Iona is particularly good in this matchup, I don't think it's where we want to be in life. We'll bring in a second Colossus, a Sylvan Messenger, a Devout Lightcaster, a couple copies of Path to Exile, and then a couple copies of Rest in Peace. We basically trim the Elvish Champion against everything that's not, that doesn't have forests. Peace, Kane, I'll catch you around. Dude, it's okay. Man, the life of a 3-year-old is tough. Let me tell you. So people ask about Sigarda. I don't really love Sigarda in this matchup because it trades with anglers and is often smaller than Death Shadow. So I think this is what I want to do with my life. And we're at 30 creatures here still, so our Lead the Stampede is plenty of hits. Do you want to watch a different show? You want some Timmy? Some Timmy time? This hand seems fine. And again, you just like don't mulligan hands that are like close to reasonable against the deck full of Thought Seizes and Inquisition. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this. do the auto pass thing. I'm going to land a Boreal Druid here, because I'd much rather they kill this than my Llanowar Elves. Like, they're marginal, right? Like, Boreal Druid makes colorless mana, Llanowar Elves makes green mana, so, like, they're similar. No devoted combo is wrong. I'm just gonna... Okay, so... I'm gonna give you a warning because, I'm going to give you a warning because I'm feeling nice this morning. We're teaching my child that waiting is patient, so we're going to teach you how what you said is wrong. So, what you just did is really obnoxious, and it makes one of the things about Twitch chat. The signal-to-noise ratio in Twitch chat is really frustrating at times. And, like, it's really obnoxious to deal with. So... what you just came in here without having seen much or any of this deck at all, you're just assuming it's like every other elf deck, and you're just like made this ultimatum statement like not doing X is wrong, objectively speaking, and it's not helpful. You didn't say why it was wrong. You could say not playing Devoted Druid is wrong because playing Devoted Druid is better than these other cards that you're playing in most of these situations. And, like, but that's not what you did. You came in here and you're like, well, that's just wrong, wrong, wrong. And, like, that's not useful. Like, you coming in here and posting not playing Devoted Druid combo is wrong in my chat is about as useful as, like, sitting here listening to my toddler scream. Like, it's not useful in the slightest. Like, I get it. You had something to say and, like, you're making noise and, like, you banged on your keyboard in my Twitch chat, but, like, you weren't useful or constructive in any sort of way. And I get that a lot of other Twitch chats, like, people just, like, sit there and let you spew and be obnoxious like that, but... be constructive and contribute here, or don't type in chat. As we Devout Lightcaster my opponent, so they have to have two blockers for us. Ooh, a Chameleon Colossus. It's a good draw, too. I'm being attacked from outside by toddlers. Alright, so Devout Lightcaster has to hang back because he's pro-black, so he blocks. Losing our path to exile kind of sucks. I mean, like, I'm just giving him a warning. Normally I just ban people, but I'm feeling generous this morning. I'm feeling benevolent. Alright, that's another Death Shadow, sure. We're getting attacked here for 4. Yep. We don't have black mana, and I want to be able to cast the things we're Eldritch Evolutioning into when we draw them, so... Teach me how to mute a toddler. Them pushing that's actually very good. It means we can't cast this turn, so hopefully we draw a land here. Path to Exile is probably almost as good as a land. Holy God, children. Alright, so during their upkeep, we're going to path them, so they have 1 less mana next turn. Actually, I'm actually just going to path them now, because I don't want them to activate this Tasigur. Alright, there you go. There you go. So, this line means I can't play the Chameleon Colossus next turn, so maybe I'm supposed to have played the Boreal Druid out. This gives me a chump blocker. No, I don't think we're supposed to draw step it, because then they get to activate the Tasigur. I'm gonna block here and take 6, I think. So, another thing people do in Magic a lot is they see decks with some similar cards in them, and then they automatically assume that all of those decks are the same, and, like, just because the deck that we're playing has elves in it, doesn't mean that it's the same as every elf deck. So, like, this deck has a lot of overlap with the other elf deck in the format, but it's fundamentally and functionally very different in the way it plays its games out. Maybe I'm supposed to have shipped some damage into them there. That's fine. You don't get my Colossus. Yes, also another card deeper to Stubborn Denial. You see that happen in Standard a lot, too? Like, you'll, especially in Standard, people are like, oh, all the Abzan decks are the same. It's like, well, no, not really. Push. Yep, they're pushing our mana guy. Alright. I want to tap like this, so that way I can cast another 1-mana green guy. I'm going to hold this for now in case they draw Culligan's Command. If they hit Thoughtseize here, we could be in trouble. And so, like, this deck plays out very differently than the Collected Company Court of Calling Elves. Big fish, sure. Well, this card is doing exactly what we want it to do. Punch the clock and go to work. Are you dead? I feel like you're dead, opponent. Alright, so they're dead on board. Are you conceding? Is this a lockup concession? Nope, not yet. Make my guy an 8/8. After the Invitational, I might accept a donation to play. So, one of the things I do occasionally is, if a deck is interesting, I'll let people pay for one of the leagues so I can play it in, but playing decks on Magic Online is expensive, especially if you're not sure if they're good, so I don't think Goryo's Vengeance is a good enough deck that I'd be willing to spend 12 of my own dollars to play it on Magic Online. So, what you can see here behind me is that there is only one Cozy Coop, but there are two children. And one of the children wanted the Cozy Coop right now, which means they all want the Cozy Coop right now. They both want the Cozy Coop right now. Because that's how they go. Alright, let's wait for our next victim to queue up here. So, I mean, I'm 3-0 against Shadow with this in the last couple days. You can definitely build to beat Shadow. Cards like Chameleon Colossus are fantastic there. Yeah, definitely. Like, they put themselves... Like, if they're low enough to, like, have Death Shadow be relevant, Chameleon Colossus is going to be lethal when you pay 4 mana. I want it because you have it. Yep. Literally an entire basement full of toys. We both want the same one. I'm not sure. It depends on how Modern's going. Easy mulligan here. Hearthstone hand, no resources. Yeah, seems fine. Seems decent, right? We're an Eldritch Evolution away from, like, doing something stupid on turn 2. Well... You want some Cheerios? There you go. Hopefully they're a deck that, hopefully they're another linear deck and we just get to do our thing here. You want this to be an elf. You want this to be an elf. Is the thing. Who needs advantage when you can kill them, right? Like, spend 4 cards to put a card into play you can't beat. Mountain Goblin Guide, please, right? Please? Please, Mountain Goblin Guide! I've never wanted to be playing against birds so badly in my life! Marsh Flats? Okay, Marsh Flats is actually kind of problematic here. So, like... we're not playing this deck to not empty our hand going for it. Yeah, I think it's just Iona on white. If we get stubbed off of this, we get stubbed off of this. Go. Watch this be an off-color fetch land. It's gonna be an off-color fetch land. Might just be Abzan and they have Path in their deck though, so, you know. They're dead in 3 to this, and we've got a Chump Blocker. So let's go. Don't do it. Don't do it. Collective Brutality, sure. So they could 1-drop. Damn it. So they could play Liliana the Veil next turn. Alright, my body is ready to concede. Alright. Alright. So, again, this is a matchup where the combo is not good, so we're going to board it out. I think I'm going to leave an Elesh Norn in. Just as, like, castable. To bring in all of these. I probably want some Paths. I don't know if I want Rest in Peace in this matchup or not. Maybe 2 Chameleon Colossus isn't worth it, because they probably have Tarmogoyf in their deck. I guess if they have Goyf, that's reason to have Path to Exile in my, or Rest in Peace in my deck. I think this is what I want to do. Any questions or comments? I don't know that I don't think the Rest in Peace is worth it. I think I want my Lead the Stampede to just be marginally better. I mean, like, playing a deck like this, you have to just accept the fact that some of the times, like, you're going to go in and they're going to get you. Like, you have to shrug those games off or you can't play a deck like this. Yeah, I think this is worth it because of... This is good because of Lingering Souls. I don't know if we care that much about the back half of Lingering Souls. I guess they could be on the Traverse deck as well. Yeah, I think you all are right that the Traverse is probably more likely. Maybe are these not worth it? Are the Rest in Pieces better than these 2 cards? I'd buy that for $1. Let's give this a try. Let's give this a try. I don't think I want all 3. All 3 Rest in Peace. The 3rd Rest in Peace is reserved for, like, Storm and Dredge. I think the rest of this seems fine. And again, you know, like, there's a lot of decks in the format where just, like, turn 2 Iona or Elesh Norn would just, like, let us win the game. So, like, it's one of the reasons why I like playing a deck like this. Yeah, I think this is fine. Need some lands maybe, but it's okay other than that. If we hit a land on 2, we get to go like this into this, which seems great. How do you feel about evolution in non-Allosaurus elves? I don't have an educated opinion on that. I'd assume people who have played the non-Allosaurus versions of this deck have, like, tested Eldritch Evolution, and they've come to the conclusion that Company and Court are better. But I haven't actually tested it, so I can't really give you an informed yes or no on that. Opponent deciding if they want a mulligan or not here. Having the Devout Lightcaster in our opener is a bit awk, because it does mean we need to fetch our Temple Gardens pretty aggressively, since this is the old triple white casting cost here. Yeah, we have 16 white sources. Yeah, we have 18 lands, and 16 of them make white mana. It's real bad for us. Need more? Alright. Don't collect it, Brutality Bait. This deck's probably pretty bad against these interactive mid-range decks, but, like, these interactive mid-range decks aren't very good in Modern in general, so, like, I think that's a fine place to be in life. Declan Scott, get away from my monitor. Just a Grimflare. Okay. Land? Alright. I think we want to do this to try and hit a land. Womp womp. Get. I don't know if we're going to get to Standard today or not. We're definitely playing more Abzan tokens at some point this week, but I don't know about today necessarily. Please let me draw land. Please let me draw land. If we go land, we get to go Llanowar Elves into Heritage Druid and to Lead the Stampede. Do they leave any cards on top of their deck here? Actually, if we hit a land, we might go Llanowar Elves into Path to Exile to shuffle away what they keep on top. Put a card on top. Yeah, the tokens deck is definitely good. Stay out. They have Dark Confidant in their deck. Interesting. Alright. Didn't draw land. Alright, you know, like I said, sometimes you just die. They probably kept a land on top of their deck. We have one of each in right now, right? No, we don't. We just had it up. So, like, Colossus is, like, okay against Grimflayer, but it's usually smaller than Tarmogoyf, which makes it awkward. And Devout Lightcaster can exile something when it comes into play, so the fact that it lets us use Eldritch Evolution as a removal spell, I think, makes it worthwhile. I'm going to concede to a Liliana the Last Hope here. There's a big giant button under the stream that says MTG decks, and if you click on it, you can find links to the deck list that we play. Magus of the what? Inquisition, sure. Of all these cards, discard one of them. Didn't get Liliana'd. Magus of the Moat? Which Magus? Magus of the Moon. No, I don't really want to play Magus of the Moon in my deck. We're probably too far behind at this point. I guess we have a path for one of these.
You boys are so loud.
Yes, they are. Very, very loud. I'm gonna Visionary, and if we miss on a land, we'll just concede. That's fine. I can't win them all. Because Declan wanted to unplug my monitors. And Jake? I mean, they're always attacking each other, right? I think I'd rather play, What's the one that makes a bunch of elephants? Destroys 3 things, though? I don't know if Magus the Moon's worth playing. It's not a card I considered. I really don't like playing cards with Eldritch Evolution that we can't cast if we draw them. But maybe that's something I shouldn't be as afraid of. It seems like not exciting, but it's fine. It's got a little bit mana heavy, but we've got a Horizon Canopy here, which I think makes it okay. Nasty Terrasty, that's the one.
I don't know what you're saying.
Look at that, we've got a loud emote for Jacob now. We do. Or my child is screaming, because that's what he does. Alright, you ready to get pushed off a cliff, little Llanowar Elf? I'm going to send you off into combat here. Another land is a miserable draw.
You're okay.
We didn't get pushed off a cliff! Hooray! White Black Eldrazi, probably. That almost certainly means I want to use this fetch sooner rather than later. God, that's miserable. Shannon632 with the $20 donation. Play Abzan counters on the next stream. Deal. Hashtag we'll do things for money. We'll play Abzan counters after this league. Alright, I drew 2. Bottoming 3 Eldritch Evolutions feels a little bit bad, but that's what it is.
We're still having problems.
DKS? That's going to be annoying, so we're going to take my best guy away. My best gal. The champion of the people.
So it works during the day, but then it doesn't work at like from 8 till midnight.
I mean, I want to play the Abzan tokens deck more, and if someone donated money, 10 out of 10 willing to play it sooner rather than later. Whoa! We took the Heritage Druid, yep. Delio. You probably just have a piece of spot removal for this, but like if you have a piece of spot removal, you probably shouldn't care what else I have, right? The Forest Walk isn't going to be good, but like the +1/+1's decent. Are any of our bullets very good in this matchup? Iona and Elesh are both kind of mediocre, right? Like I guess Elesh is fine. Wasteland Strangler. Okay, yeah, so they get to kill that. That's fine. I guess they just wanted me to spend more resources that turn, which is fair.
No, you said between 3 and 5. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
No blocks. They have 4 cards left in their hand. Allosaurus Rider. Sure, bad. Dealer's choice. Would you like my Boreal Druid or my Allosaurus Rider? Almost certainly the Boreal Druid, right? We took the Allosaurus. Man, opponents just got all sorts of interesting decisions. Lead the Stampede deal. God, I love this card. Go. Well, if they don't kill one of these, we're going to play this next turn. Seems decent. I guess they could also Wasteland us, right? They could go Leon and Arbiter Wasteland us. No blocks.
Hi, Munchkin. Are you a nice kid?
Yep. There's the Wasteland. I would like to use it. I can't, that's sad.
Give me a kiss.
Cast Elvish Visionary.
Who's that?
Chameleon Colossus. I think I just need chump blockers, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna tap this, cast this, play this tapped, and then I need to get to next turn with 3 mana creatures so I can chump block with 2 things. Alright, unless they have a 3-drop, we're in okay shape. Which they do. This is a Wasteland Strangler, we're just dead. Most things are just dead, right? Flicker Wisp kills us. That.
More pictures?
That'll do, pig. Man, that's a weird card. So Elesh Norn's going to stay into this matchup, but most of the Allosaurus Riders are probably going to come out. This is like a fine card to draw, but... Alright, we're dead. Alright, so Iona's not very good. The Allosaurus Riders can come out. Reclamation Sage seems fine. Path seems fine. Sylvan Messenger seems fine. Linvala seems fine, just as like a 3/4 flyer. Elvish Champion, they don't have... I don't know what's it called in their deck. I think leaving one rider in is probably fine. I don't know that I want any of these cards in my board more than that. I guess Sigarda is probably better. Just like a big giant booty. Seems good. Yeah, something like this. The next SCG event is the Invitational, which is Standard and Modern. No, I played this when Evolution was first spoiled, and I was playing too many Magic events at the time that I didn't have enough time to... spend more time tuning a brand new deck. So I just went back to playing things that were known in Modern, instead of spending time tuning it.
Did you fix it? No. No, we have to go back so you can fix it more.
So... Actually, when we tested this deck, we spent one night testing this in paper, and it actually felt very reasonable, which is one of the reasons I came back to it. And again, we're going to lead on this fetch land here, because we want to play around Leonin Arbor to the best of our ability. I'm going to go ahead and fetch a Temple Garden here, because our opponent has Path to Exile and Ghost Quarter in their deck, so I want to leave my basics in my deck, even if they cost us a little bit of life to do so. Didn't get pushed. Alright, so what are we doing here? Certainly playing this. This Lead the Stampede. If it draws more than 3 cards, I have to discard, but if it draws more than 3 cards, that's fine. Yep. Alright, so... I could just leave one of these in my deck, but discarding one's probably fine, too. Opponent's likely to play a discard spell next turn, so I think I'd rather get that while the getting's good, even if it means we have to discard one when we hit a lot of them here. Yeah, I mean, like, Kiki Chord was never a tier 1 deck, but it was, like, more tuned than this was to start, for sure. Dwynen's Elite. Shock this in. Play some more Dorkos. Dorko 1. Dorko 2. If they have TKS here, they're going to be able to take our Sylvan Messenger away, which kind of sucks. But, like, our hand was full, so I'm not just, like, playing Sylvan Messenger and going to have to discard. What a shame, right? Our green Divination drew 4 cards. Weird. Weird. Just Blade Splicer, sure. So now this turn we can lead on the Sylvan Messenger, which is great for us. 10 out of 10 will block. Another Lead the Stampede. Who doesn't love some card advantage in the morning, really? Am I leading on Lead the Stampede? Yeah, I'm going to lead on Lead the Stampede. Ooh, we hit the Elesh Norn. It's a good one. It's a good one. We hit the Heritage Druid, too. I think we're doing it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is considered doing it. God, if they Zealous Persecution us, I'm going to be really sad. Oh, wait. I just drew this. Yeah, so let's just do this. Into this. Alright, go. And this is why I like this deck, because, like, our combo's not good in this matchup, but we just did this. Your move. And if they don't play a discard spell, this Elesh Norn's coming down next turn, and then they're super dead. And if they do play a discard spell, then they're not impacting the board, and they're probably super dead. And if they do play a discard spell, we have this. What? Oh. Oh, huh. That's actually pretty good, right? Huh. What happens if I attack with everything? They block 1, 2, 3, and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And they lose these, and I lose Archdruid.
Where's your belly? Where's Declan's
Alright. Just gonna cast this. Yep, you broke the gate. I'm gonna catch this Rex Sage and kill their golem here, and then I think we're shipping. We're gonna swing for the fences. And maybe I'm not supposed to attack with the Archdruid. Yeah, I'm probably not supposed to attack with the Archdruid.
Hi, Declan.
Yep. So if I don't attack with the Archdruid, they block 3 of these and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, we'll just not attack with the Archdruid. No, I don't really want to. I played the Modern Challenge yesterday, so I don't think I want to spend $30 to play the other thing. So they get to eat one of my things and then trade with another. So yeah, they have to block with some of these, otherwise they're dead. This deck might want a third path on the board. Alright, so now they're at 2. We've got a lot of guys with 2 power. I went 3-4 in the Modern Challenge playing Sultai Death Shadow, which is why I'm back to playing Sweet Things, because the Shadow decks, Modern's high enough variance that even playing the best decks isn't always great. Okay, you have Eldrazi Displacer. They're still dead on board. Still dead on board? Right? Still dead on board. Yep. Alright, good. Glad we figured it out.
What? You can push it.
Yeah, I brought in the paths. Yeah, I don't think I want to change anything. I think we're just going to click submit. We could use Eldritch Evolution into Shadow. You are technically correct, which one could argue is the best kind of correct. Let's see if we can get get a second game win here. This hand's fine. It's a little slow, but that's fine. Iona on white seems unbeatable. How? A bunch of their stuff is colorless. They mulligan to 6, and they put a card on the bottom. Deal. Again, play our fetch lands first. Aether Vial right on time. Right on our one drop right on time. Path's a good draw. Healthy depends on your definition of healthy. Modern has a variety of decks that are playable right now, which if that's your metric for healthy, then yes, Modern is healthy. Mirian Crusader, sure. Yes, that's like basically unblockable, right? Do I want to kill this so they don't have a mana advantage? So I have a decision to make here. I'm either going Llanowar Elves into Dwynen's Elite, or I could just Rex Sage this. I kind of like Rex Saging this. We've been going for about 2 hours, Mortal. Started early this morning. Legacy's actually been my favorite format in Magic most recently. Wreck the Vial, we think so? I guess I have Path for this later. Yeah, Wrecking the Vial's probably advisable. The only thing I'm worried about with Wrecking the Vial here is that if they Thought-Knot Seer me next turn, we might be dead to rights to this Mirian Crusader before we can reassemble anything. The problem is, like, enjoyment is subjective, so, like, you can't objectively measure enjoyment. Another Eldritch Evolution. Alright, so I think I'm casting Dwynen's Elite here, and then I'm going to hold up this Path to Exile. Actually, maybe I'm just supposed to Path immediately. I'm going to start by attacking here and seeing what happens. I actually don't have any white creatures in my deck right now that aren't also green. I'm going to Path this now because sometimes the deck my opponent's playing plays Restoration Angel. So we'll play around that. One of these Eldritch Evolutions is going to turn this Reclamation Sage into a Sigarda, though. So we got that going for us. I mean, like, you can say a format is healthy or not based on, like, if you, like, give clearly defined metrics for what healthy is. Healthy is or isn't. I'm going to crack this fetch first, see if they have a Mind Sensor. They don't? Okay. That's fair, Brian, but, like, there's no reason, like, giving them +1 land, I think, is marginal, so, like, I think it's worth playing around it there. I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna start by attacking with everything, and then I'm gonna Eldritch Evolution this into Sigarda, I think. But I mean, like, I can't Eldritch Evolution into this. Wow, they're gonna be really sad that they didn't Path my other thing. Alright, if they have Mind Sensor here, I'm gonna be a little sad, but whatever. Get my Sigarda. Eldritch Evolution would have been cracked in half as an instant. If we draw a land next turn, we can cast the Elesh Norn. Which doesn't seem like an awful place to be. Attack with my dorks. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should play around this. I kind of want to Eldritch Evolution this into a Messenger, but I guess I could play this and turn it into a Messenger. And I didn't fetch Shock earlier, so I actually can't, I actually don't have a basic to get, which kind of sucks. That's fine, we're still really far ahead, right? Flip over the top 4 cards of my deck. We get all the elves out of them, like these two, any order. Quicken Eldritch Evolutions. Oh no, not another Path. Alright, well, the likelihood of this Elesh Norn living is getting more and more. Okay. Man, you know what's really good against 4 Path Exiles? Sigarda. Alright, sweet. GG's opponent. We're now 2-1. Sigarda being worth her weight in gold. Thanks everyone for hanging out here this morning. Got a little over 400 people watching while we wait for the coverage of GP Vegas to kick back up with day 2. Thanks for choosing to spend part of your Sunday here with us. Would Birthing Pod... Nah, I think you just build a different deck if Birthing Pod was legal. 10 out of 10 would just build a different deck.
How long are you gonna stream?
Yeah, that is, we would be playing the Elves deck. Yeah, if we were playing Birthing Pod, we would be podding Voice of Resurgence into Renegade Rallier, and then podding Renegade Rallier into Siege Rhino, and then doing it again. So, like, pod my voice into Renegade Rallier, Rallier trigger, bring back my voice, pod my Rallier into Siege Rhino, trigger, drain you, pod my voice into Renegade Rallier, trigger, get my voice back, pod my Renegade Rallier into Siege Rhino, trigger, drain you. Grand Prix always start at 10 a.m. for whatever time zone they're in. So, like, it's weird because it's PST, I guess, but, like, that's the normal. And, like, that's just, like, super fair and balanced by the metric of Modern, right? So, like, Wizards, if you're watching, can I please have Birthing Pod back? I just want to, like, pod value creatures into other value creatures into Siege Rhinos. Is that asking so much? I would love it if they banned Street Wraith. I think Street Wraith is a card that doesn't add any value to Modern, and it pushes decks like Shadow over the top. Yeah, day 2 of the Grand Prix starts in 2 hours. 2 hours from now. We're going to finish this league with Elves, and then we're going to play some Abzan tokens in Standard. Yep, Wraith is basically Probe without the look. And it gives upside of, like, enabling Delirium and enabling Shadow. So, yeah, 56 card decks, exactly. I think Street Wraith is, like, that type of effect just, like, doesn't belong in Modern. It doesn't belong in Magic. Like, one of the things, like, Legacy's probably my favorite format in Magic right now, but the one thing that Legacy really reminded me of is that the card Gitaxian Probe is just, like, fucking miserable. I hate that card so much. Is this not? Are we getting turn 2 Blood Moons or just turn 2 Storms? You want pretzels? You want Cheerios? Yeah. Yep. We used to be all about that pretzel life. Now we like the Honey Nut Cheerios. Are we actually just getting turn 2'd here? Holy shit, we're getting turn 2'd. This is... God damn it. This is why, like, so, like, sure, my opponent's deck is sweet and whatever, but, like, this is okay, but, like, Summer Bloom is banned, and Splinter Twin is banned, and, like, Birthing Pod is banned, but I'm sitting here dying on turn 2 to Storm. Like, it's fine. Like, if this is something you want to be okay in Modern, it's fine. But, like, can we just, like, be consistent and let me play the other sweet things as well? Actually, do you know what the biggest joke is? The biggest joke is that, Stoneforge Mystic is banned, right? Like, could you imagine if I was playing a Jace the Mind Sculptor deck? Like, could you, or like a Stoneforge Mystic deck? Like, it's pretty unlikely for them to kill me on 2, but like, I can't play a 4-mana Dirtily Planeswalker, but they can kill me on the second turn of the game. You know, different strokes, I guess. All right, so Eidolon is good. Rest in Peace and Teeg are good. Path is good for killing their idiots that come into play. I don't need an Elvish Champion. What else am I cutting here? This might be a matchup where we just want to cut the Lead the Stampedes, honestly. This is probably just too slow. Maybe the Archdruids. I'm probably not going wide with the fair beatdown plan very often. They had Grape Shot in their discard pile. So yeah, we were dead. Just, you know, for reference. Is the Elesh Norn worth the cut? Do we think they're not going to go goblins against me? If we think they're not going to go goblins, this is a fine trim. They could reasonably go goblins, though, right? I guess maybe not. Usually they only go goblins against the discard counterspell decks, and that's not us. We're not about that life. I could see Forge-Tender being reasonable, too. They probably have Anger in their board. That beats Graveyard Hate, that's fair. But, like, what are the odds I have an Eldritch Evolution and I go for this instead of this, right? Like, I'm probably getting these two preemptively. Do I want these Forge Tenders is the last question on my mind. I probably don't need the Dwynen's Elite. I'm going to do this, see how this feels. Sounds fine. It's got Teeg in it. I guess Forge Tender also protects Teeg from lightning bolts. No, I'm not going to play any of the scheduled events today, I don't think. The good news is we're likely to get a turn 2. Sweet, we're gonna get a second turn. Who's excited for our second turn? I'm excited for our second turn. They went bottom. Am I just going elf here? I feel like I'm just going elf. The odds of them killing us on 2 are pretty low. No, he went Pyretic Ritual into Manamorphose, into Electromancer, into Rituals. Like, them killing us on 2 is extremely unlikely. Another Allosaurus Rider. Well then. I think we're just passing at this point. Yep. Yeah, like, I actually didn't realize Storm could kill on turn 2 in Modern. It's so unlikely, but you're right. Please don't Pyroclasm B. Please don't Pyroclasm B. Please don't Pyroclasm B. Lunatics8745 with the brand new Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Subscriptions and donations are the 2 best ways you can support my content. Welcome. I appreciate that next level of support. It's fine. I forget to re-up my Twitch Prime too. I have to set a calendar reminder. Are you going to kill this Gaddock Teeg and then kill me? My Kithkin advisor is strongly recommending against killing me, just so you're aware, opponent. Oh, yeah, we're dead. Modern's fun. We tried. I want my tombstone to say he tried. Both teams try. Oh, we're flashing this back. Maybe we're not dead yet. We did get a turn 3. Thanks for coming. Here's your sign. All right. Probably scale of 1 to dead. We are definitely towards the dead side of the scale. Come on, bottom, bottom. Bottom! So how many turns total did this match last? So this was, we died on their turn 2 after taking 1 turn. So the first game was 3 turns. And this game has been, how many turns? They went top. This is our 6th turn. So we had a 9-turn match here. Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, our opponent hasn't cast Gifts Ungiven yet. When they cast the gifts, we're dead. I assume. Whoa! We just lightning bolted my dork! Are we done? Please tell me you're done. Please tell me you're done. Please tell me you're done. No, I think I'm taking a week off of the Clash. I just, like, I have 5 Hero Fall promos, and, like, Sealed sucks. I really hate Sealed. Hex's limited format is decent, but, like, Sealed in general is just, like, fucking miserable. Holy crap, we're doing it, fam. We're not dead. Oh, God. Are we not dead? Are we not dead? Are we just killing my board? Please just be killing my board. Oh, we untapped! Holy God, we untapped! Oh, baby, I've never been so excited to untap in my life. And by that, I mean my opponent top-topped. So, like, they're going to cast Gifts Ungiven and kill us next turn. But, you know, we got a turn 4. We got a turn 4. It's the small victories in my, you have to take the small victories because you're not going to get many big ones. JK dead on their turn 4. What a tease. What a tease. The problem with Modern Storm is that, like, it's, oh, they shuffled. It's unplayably bad against Death Shadow. Oh, sure. That's totally reasonable and beatable. No! No, my Elvish Mystics! That's so rude, opponent. My poor little green guys. Alright. Alright, Allosaurus Rider. Get on in there. 3-3. Go. Please don't lightning bolt me. Please don't lightning bolt me. Don't do it. Have a heart. To set the bar extremely low, Magic Online is cheaper than paper. Some drug addictions are cheaper than playing paper Magic too, though. So like you gotta like take it or leave it. God bless America. All right, we tried, fam. We tried. Man, remember that time we died to Electromancer beatdowns? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Lordy. You got me. Flashback my past in flames for 2 mana. Good games, opponent. Alright, let's see if we can get the old 3-2 out of this league. You wanted a fair game, right? I'm not planning to stream Legacy until after the Invitational. The Invitational is standard and modern, so it'd be irresponsible of me to spend any amount of money to go to the Invitational and not spend a bunch of time playing standard and modern before then. I do like Legacy. Legacy is my favorite format in Magic, but it's going to be on a hiatus till after the Invitational at the end of the month. Man, if there's one thing I love about Hex, it's that I don't have to look at fucking hands like this every game. Mulliganing in Magic is so miserable. They killed us turn 2 game 1 Immortals. It wasn't turn 3. They killed us on their second turn. The classic opponent saying good luck after I mulligan to 5. Classy. Living End? Dredge? Probably Dredge. I actually don't have any graveyard hate in my 75, which may or may not be wrong. You're a monster, huh? Can you say hi, Internet? My name is Declan. Can you say hi? What's wrong with your arm? Yeah, Elesh Norn is definitely decent. That's part of the reason I don't have any, Elesh Norn is part of the reason I don't have any graveyard hate. Is today Father's Day? I don't do Hallmark holidays, so I don't keep track of stuff like that. Oh yeah, we have 3 Rest in Peace on the board. I meant graveyard hate that we can't tutor for. But yeah, we have 3 rips on the board. You're right. I forgot about those. I've got 2 Forge-Tenders too, and Gaddock Teeg stops. Gaddock Teeg stops Conflagrate also. Life is like a diamond. Elwins with the 6-month 3 subscription. Half a year. Thank you for the continued support. I do appreciate it. Is this a, what's it called? The discard collective brute. Seriously? Super punished for not having played the Lead the Stampede? Alright, we're done here. Yeah, we're not coming back from this. 2, 3. Man, we would have drawn 3 cards with that Lead the Stampede too. It's really unfortunate. Alright, so this is coming in. This is coming in. These are coming in. The Devout Lightcaster might be okay too, honestly. Making our idiots unblockable probably isn't awful. Chameleon Colossus probably isn't very good. Trim a couple of Archdruids, I think. What else do I want to cut? want at least one Archdruid in the deck. I never want to cut all of them. Lead the Stampede actually increases the consistency of our turn 2 and turn 3s. I think I'm supposed to trim some of these to keep the creature count up. Is Dwynen's Elite worth a cut? I feel like that's my go-to trim. I like Visionary because it gives us redraws towards our hate cards. Maybe Past Exile is just not good enough. Yeah, I'd buy that for $1. Let's just, like, not... They don't have a specific card that's particularly great. I'm just gonna... Oh, we want the Forge-Tenders, right? We want these to stop... This keeps our creature count up. We want these to stop the Conflagrates out of the bin. Is this not good enough? This is probably too cute. I'm gonna just leave my elves in for consistency. I'd love to play first. We have 3 rested pieces in our deck with this hand's too mediocre to keep. I think this is fine. If we draw Eldritch Evolution, it's pretty decent. Or like go Forge-Tender on 1. I don't think cutting Rider is very good. Like, drawing multiple Riders is fine. You just, like, pitch them to each other. I'll bottom that. Melancholy, $10. You might not be making it to the SCG Invitational, but maybe this will help for the next one. Thank you for the donation. I really do appreciate it. And we'll see. We still got some time. I think I'm going to try and do a long stream midway through next week. See how that goes. Why would we lead with Forge-Tender? Because we need extra green cards to pitch to this Allosaurus Rider. So, like, I want to give myself a chance to draw the Eldritch Evolution and hold these green cards. Yep. Dredge is scary consistent. Alright. Play this Boreal Druid. And again, for the same reason, I'm going to give myself a chance to draw Eldritch Evolution, so I'm not playing out this Heritage Druid here. So Collective Brutality or Cathartic Reunion. Cathartic, yep. I mean, what's his name? Josh Utter-Layton was playing a Death Shadow deck in Legacy. Alright, so we've got 7 good draws here. We've got 4 Eldritch Evolutions and 3 Rest in Peace, so 7 good draws and 52. Hey, look at that. That's a fine one. And this one is reasonable here because it's going to come down before my opponent gets to trigger the rest of these amalgams and stuff in their bin, so we're only dealing with 4 power worth of idiots here. Play this out and pass the turn. Yay! Sideboard cards! I don't know where he finished, but Josh Utter-Layton was 7-0 at one point in the Legacy Grand Prix with Blue-Black Death Shadow. What's going on, Ari? Yep, there's a Stinkweed Imp, sure. Take 4 down to whatever, yep. So cast this. Cast this. Have a bunch of mana. Next turn we can trade with this Prized Amalgam. We'll block with the Dwynen's Elite and the Elvish Warrior. And then we can race these two. I mean, like, Fatal Push is really a card that helped put Death Shadow over the top, right? He may have dropped to play another Grand Prix, yep. Dino! With the cheer. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Happy Father's Day to all the other fathers out there. We have another big old stinky. Yep. Something stinks. I think I just want to do these here. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think this is still fine. We want to just like take their clock off the table. This buys us a lot of time getting rid of the Prized Amalgam here. Immediately regret our decision to have done that because we drew Elesh Norn here. Well, we have 5 mana, so if we draw running mana sources, we could be okay. We're dead in... How many turns up here? This is 3, so we're dead in 5 in the sky. It could be worse. Whoa, they have steam vents so they can cast their amalgams. Elves are as good as mana, so hopefully we draw elves or mana here. Yep. Dead in 3. Yep. Okie-doke. Probably gonna trade this Forge-Tender for the Golgari Thug. They had it on stream. They had the deck list up. You can check the coverage. If we draw an untapped land next turn, we can Elesh Norn, right? So, yep. I think I actually want to hold this Forge-Tender so he can't kill my elves, right? Yeah, I'm just going to take this hit. So that way he can't kill my elves with the Conflagrate. Can we just draw a land, please? Can we draw a land, please? Land, one-time dealer. Why is there a Bajuka Bog in their deck? Push forward against us. Come on, one time, one time! Oh, right. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Next card, of course. Nope. Well, sometimes you draw Rest in Peace and then you die anyways. And they board wrong and you die anyways. That's unfortunate. Close, but no cigar. Dredge is one of the more consistent decks of the format. We're going to get stuff for Abzan tokens next, we said, right?